Noam Chomsky's book World Orders, Old and New, 1994, presents a critical examination of global power structures and the dynamics of international relations in the post-Cold War era. Chomsky, known for his sharp critique of American foreign policy, dissects the evolution of world orders by examining the interplay between political, economic, and military forces that shape global affairs. His analysis spans from the aftermath of World War II to the New World Order, emerging after the fall of the Soviet Union, providing a thorough critique of American hegemony and its implications for global justice. Chomsky begins by outlining the historical context of world orders, emphasizing the continuity of power structures, despite changes in political rhetoric and international alliances. The post-World War II period marked the beginning of a new world order dominated by two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. This bipolar structure was characterized by ideological conflict, military standoffs, and proxy wars in various parts of the world. However, Chomsky argues that, beneath the surface, this period also involved significant continuities in the power relations established during the era of European colonialism and imperialism, the end of the Cold War and the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 led to the emergence of a unipolar world order, with the United States as the sole superpower. Chomsky critically examines this shift, arguing that the New World Order is not fundamentally different from the old one in its objectives and methods. Instead, it represents a continuation of the same power dynamics, now unchallenged by a rival superpower. America, according to Chomsky, continues to pursue global dominance through economic coercion, military intervention, and the promotion of neoliberal policies that serve the interests of multinational corporations and the wealthy elite. A significant portion of Chomsky's analysis focuses on the mechanisms through which the United States maintains its hegemony. He highlights several key strategies, including military intervention, economic sanctions, and the use of international institutions like the International Monetary Fund (IMF) and the World Bank to enforce economic policies favorable to American interests. Chomsky argues that these strategies are often justified under the guise of promoting democracy, human rights, and free markets, but in reality, they serve to protect and expand American influence. Chomsky is particularly critical of the use of military force to achieve America's objectives. He examines several case studies, including the Gulf War, the interventions in Central America, and the support for authoritarian regimes, to illustrate how America uses its military power to suppress resistance and maintain control over strategically important regions. He also points out the double standards in American foreign policy, where actions taken by America or its allies are justified as necessary for maintaining order, while similar actions by other states are condemned as aggressive or illegitimate. In addition to military force, Chomsky discusses the role of economic power in maintaining American hegemony. He critiques the neoliberal economic policies promoted by America and international financial institutions, arguing that these policies exacerbate global inequality and undermine the sovereignty of developing nations. by imposing structural adjustment programs, reducing social spending, and prioritizing the interests of multinational corporations. These policies create a global economic order that benefits the wealthy at the expense of the poor. Chomsky also delves into the role of propaganda and ideology in sustaining the current world order. He argues that American government, in collaboration with media corporations and intellectuals, constructs a narrative that justifies its actions and obscures the realities of its foreign policy. This narrative, often framed in terms of promoting freedom and democracy, serves to legitimize American intervention abroad and to silence dissent both domestically and internationally. Chomsky's concept of manufacturing consent is central to his analysis of propaganda. He argues that the media plays a crucial role in shaping public opinion by selectively reporting on events, framing issues in a way that supports American policy, and marginalizing voices that challenge the dominant narrative. This manipulation of information creates a perception of the world that aligns with the interests of the ruling elite, making it difficult for the public to critically engage with American foreign policy. Furthermore, Chomsky examines the ideological underpinnings of American hegemony, particularly the belief in American exceptionalism. This ideology, which posits that America has a unique role to play as a global leader and protector of freedom, is used to justify a wide range of actions, from military interventions to economic sanctions. Chomsky argues that this belief system not only obscures the true motives behind American actions, but also perpetuates a sense of moral superiority that devalues the lives and sovereignty of other nations. One of the central themes of world orders, old and new, is Chomsky's critique of neoliberalism and global capitalism. He argues that the neoliberal policies promoted by America and international financial institutions have devastating effects on developing nations. These policies, which prioritize market liberalization, privatization, and deregulation, often lead to increased poverty, social unrest, and environmental degradation. Chomsky contends that neoliberalism is not a neutral economic theory, but a political project designed to concentrate wealth and power in the hands of a global elite. He highlights how neoliberal policies undermine democratic governance by shifting power away from elected officials and towards multinational corporations and financial institutions. This erosion of sovereignty is particularly pronounced in developing countries, where governments are often forced to implement unpopular policies in order to secure loans and aid from international institutions. The global capitalist system, as described by Chomsky, is inherently exploitative, with wealth flowing from the global south to the global north. He argues that this system perpetuates a form of economic imperialism, where developing nations are kept in a state of dependency and underdevelopment. The promises of development and prosperity made by proponents of neoliberalism, according to Chomsky, have not been realized for the majority of the world's population. Instead, these policies have led to greater inequality both within and between nations. Despite his bleak assessment of the current world order, Chomsky also discusses the potential for resistance and the emergence of alternative systems. He emphasizes the importance of grassroots movements social activism, and international solidarity in challenging the dominance of the U.S. and the global capitalist system. Chomsky points to examples of successful resistance, such as the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa and the struggle for indigenous rights in Latin America, as evidence that change is possible. Chomsky also advocates for a rethinking of global economic and political systems. He argues for a more equitable distribution of resources, greater respect for national sovereignty, and the protection of human rights and environmental sustainability. While acknowledging the challenges of achieving these goals, Chomsky remains optimistic about the potential for collective action to create a more just and humane world order.